Hey guys, so we're going on to issue 4, I believe. Is it 4? It is 4. Shows how good my memory is. Of the Disney Crochet subscription. And we're going to be making this square today. And it's the Winnie the Pooh flower and bees square, which I actually really like the look of. I think it's really cute with the little tiny bees on there. So we need to get everything ready, what we're going to be using. So we've got 3 different colours of yarn that we're going to be using. This one, which is classed as sage, this one, which is classed as sunflower, and this is the black. We also will need a small amount of leftovers of the white yarn we've already got to do the bees' wings, I believe, but I haven't looked that far ahead yet. And then, as always, have your darning needle to hand for when you need it, and then as always sticking with the same size crochet hook, which is your 4mm hook, and that's how mine looks. This is the one that I always use, the Clover and More hook. So we're starting with our sunflower yarn, and I really don't like how they've wound this together. I just feel like it's going to fall apart, become a mess. It's also quite difficult trying to find the end. Mine's there, and that took me quite a while to find, but I can see this getting extremely tangled. I've also heard that because we've only got a small amount of this and we need it for the next few squares, that you run out very quickly of this colour. So be really careful if you make any mistakes to just simply unwind everything and start again, because otherwise you're not going to have enough yarn left for the other projects. But I guess we should get started. So, as we always do, I'm going to have to remember to keep my hands down. I'm so used to the camera being so high up. I need to remember to be down here. It's because I've changed the tripod that I'm filming on to make it a bit more comfortable for me. But my muscles seem to just think, oh yeah, that's the way we always do it, we'll go back up there. But it hurts, so we're staying here. Right, let's get on with the crochet. Slip knot, yarn on hook, pull it tight. Remember to pull it tight enough so that it still moves up and down the hook. We don't want to go like too tight so that it doesn't move. And then we're doing 5 chains. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And from there we're going to join with a slip stitch to our first chain. So count back your 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That is my first chain just there. So I'm going to go in through this one and then yarn over, pull up a loop and pull that one through the loop I've already got on my hook. And there we have created the round, just like we did for our last crochet square. And now we're going on to no, that was just the foundation ring. Yeah, now we're going on to round 1. I do apologise. So once we've slip stitched into the ring, we need to make another 2 chains. 1 and 2. And from here we're going to do a treble into the ring. So yarn over, put your hook through the ring and yarn over again and pull up that loop. So we've got 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over again and pull through 2. Then from here, another 2 chains. 1 and 2. So the instructions in the book, the way that this is written, makes 0 sense because it says we need to treble 2 together. Now that would create an increase. That's not what we're trying to do. So I'm really confused by that instruction. So I'm going to show you what they mean and how to do it as someone that doesn't crochet often. I presume the people watching these videos are people that don't crochet much or haven't crocheted much before now. And hopefully we can get a better explanation of what's going on in the magazine, because it really doesn't make any sense. So you've done your 2 chains, and then we're going to do another treble into the centre. So there's 1. And there's 2. And then another 2 chains. So as always with these videos, I have to be really careful with copyright, that I'm not saying too much about the pattern and I'm not revealing too much, because otherwise I can get in quite a lot of trouble and the videos will get taken down. So we have to repeat this pattern of doing 2 chains, chain 2, 2 chains, chain 2, the amount of times it says in the magazine. So I can't show you everything, but also bear in mind when you're doing this, that whilst this is the centre of your circle, these stitches here, sorry, I'm trying to focus here, it's not going very well. These stitches here are your first row. So we need to, no, not your first row, I apologise. They are your foundation ring, and this is your first row here. So to keep this all hidden, we need to make sure that we stitch over these, otherwise it's going to look quite messy. So I'll show you one more and see if we can cover those up in the next round. I don't think we will though, I think it will be the round after that. So 1 treble and 2 treble, and then your 2 chains, and then again we should be able to do it now. And I'm going in, can you see those stitches are just above where my hook is, so they're now getting caught in here and we're crocheting over them. 1 treble, 2 treble, another 2. Now obviously I haven't told you how many petals, what they call petals, we've done yet. These gaps are always going to come after the 2 petals you've done, I guess, and it says how many in the book you need to do. So to count how many you've done, I would say count 1 there, count 2 there, that's the second petal, and then I've done 3, and I've just done an extra 2 chains, so when I go back in, that'll be the 4th petal that I've done. So if you carry on doing that the amount of times that it says in the book, I will meet you when you get to the end. See you shortly. So I've got all the way to the end. I've actually pulled the centre of the flower tight, so it's a bit smaller. You'll find that all the stitches bunch up quite a bit, so you can actually manipulate them and move them like this around the centre to make sure that they're not all grouped in one place. And that will stretch open the centre of your circle again, so feel free to tighten that one more if you need to. So now that we've done that, we need to do a slip stitch to join this all together, and we're going to join it into the first treble that we did. So the first treble that we did is this one. I don't know if you can see that just here. So we're going to go in through this one here, and then pull up a loop, and just pull that loop straight through. And we've already done our first colour, and now we need to change colours. So I'm just going to put that one down while I grab my scissors. Remember again to create enough of a tail so that you can darn those threads in at the end, but not too much of a tail so that we don't run out of yarn. So from here, just pull everything through, and there we go. So I don't know how much that is by just guessing. 15 centimetres I think I've left maybe. And we've got our circle here. This one's a bit shorter actually. I'd probably say that's only about 10 centimetres, but we can thread them through quite easily. So now we're going on to the next colour, and that is the sage. So I'm just going to get that one ready. So I've got my other colour, and what the book has written is wrong. It says to join A in any one chain space. We haven't done any one chain spaces. All of these are 2 chain spaces. So again, ignore what they say. We're going to join in a 2 chain space. And I'm actually going to join and keep all the yarn ends in the same place, just like I did with the last square. So you can see that you've got 2 stitches here and then another 2. So technically there's a gap in through here, and that is where the end of our last yarn is. So I'm going to go in through that one just there to keep everything together. So they showed us how to join colours in the last issue. So we're going to do it in the same way. Make your slip knot. Put your yarn through where you want to, put your hook through your project where you want your new colour of yarn to be. And then put your slip knot on the hook and pull that one tight and then pull it through. And the first instruction of round 2 is to chain 2. So 1 and 2. From here, we're going to do another treble in this space. So there's that one. And then chain 1. Two trebles in here. One and 2. And this time we're just chaining 1 all the way around. So we've chained 1. From here things are going to get a bit different. So we've chained 1. And now we're going to go into our next space with 1 treble and then another. Oh, sorry, I've not pulled my yarn through properly there. Let me do that one again. And then 3 chains. 1, 2 and 3, and then another 2 trebles back into the same space. One and 2. Sorry, just pulling up my yarn. We're then going to chain 1, and from here we're going to do our 2 trebles in the next space. One and 2, and then chain 1 again. And then 2 trebles into the next space. 1, 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and chain another 2 trebles into the same space. 1 and 2. Chain 1, 2 trebles into your next space. 1 and 2, chain 1, 2 trebles into your next space, 1 and 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and so we've just chained 3, and then we need to do another 2 trebles into this same space, 1 and 2, then chain 1, 2 trebles into this space, 1 and 2, oh, yarn split again, and you should have something that's almost resembling a square now. So then 1 chain, and we're back at the original space that we've already been into, and we need to do another 2 trebles in here, 1 and 2, so they're then finishing this corner off in a different way by chaining 1, and then we want to go into the top of the first treble. This green here are your chain stitches. That is not your first stitch. This here is your first stitch, so you want to go into that V just there, just above that treble. And it's a half treble that we need to do, so we need to yarn over and go into here and pull through a loop, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3, and that gives us our exact square shape ready to start the next round. So I'm just reading the book, and I'm not going to lie, I'm an experienced crocheter and I'm getting really confused. It doesn't make much sense to me. The only way I'm going to be able to do this is to read as I go, which means there might be a lot of me pausing, but I think that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. You're just going to have to bear with me on this one, I'm afraid. So we're starting off with 2 chains. We can do that. We know how to do that. And then we're going to do a treble into the corner space. So yarning over, and I presume by the corner space they mean this one here. Obviously we're over it slightly, so we need to move back and go into it. And a treble, not a half treble. So we're yarning over and then pulling through 2, and then 2 again. And here's where I get slightly confused. So 1 chain, and then 2 trebles in the next space. Which is our next space? This one? I presume so. We're doing 2 in here. That's what I'm doing anyway. So 1 and 2. And then it says 1 treble in each of next 2 trebles. Okay, so 1 treble in each of these 2, I presume. Oh, sorry, I'm not focused. So 1 treble in each of the next 2 trebles. Well, there's 2 trebles here, so I presume we're doing a treble into the top of them. So we'll go in here for the first one, and then in this one for the second, and it should look like that. Next instruction, 2 trebles into the next space. One, and 2, 1 chain. And then as before, do your 1 treble, 2 treble, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and another 2 trebles, all in the same space. 1, and this will be for every corner as well, doing 2 trebles, 3 chains, 2 trebles again. So there's that done. And then a 1 chain. And then from here, I presume it's just repeating exactly what we've already done. Bear with me. Okay, so 2 in your next space. 1, 2, and then another 2 into the tops of these 2, so 1 in here and 1 in here. One and 2, and then another 2 in the next space. 1, 2, and then chain 1. And then we're back to our next corner. So 1, 2, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and another 2 trebles in here. 1. Bear with me, I've run out of yarn again. And then 2. And your next 1 chain. And then you just need to repeat what we've already done going around already. So I've gone all the way around for round 3, and we just need to finish up with our last corner. So I believe, yeah, I've already chained 1, and then we're going to do another 2 trebles into the corner space. 1 and 2, and then we're going to chain 1, and from here it says to join with another half treble in the top of our first treble. Well, just as before, these stitches here are our chains, so this is our first. It's really difficult to separate them. I don't know if you can see, we've got the chains here, but then also our first treble is the one here. So we would go in through this V here, which is the top of the first stitch. So if you yarn over and go in through this one, pull through a loop, and remember this is a half treble, not a treble, so we're simply yarning over and pulling through. I've really messed that up. Pulling through all 3. And we should have something now that looks like this. And now we're moving on to round 4. So chain 2. And our corner space again is slightly behind where we were, so it's just here. So what I was explaining before as well about not being able to define between the chains and our first stitch or our first treble of each round, where we've just chained 2, where we've got the height on there to make up the next row. I really hope this makes sense. That is counted as our first treble. So then if we yarn over and go into the space for our first actual treble, can you see there's now technically 2 there? What looks like we've done 2 trebles into that corner. It looks like we've got 2 here, just like where we've got 2 here. and that's why we're only doing 1 to begin with, because the chains make up for the height and make up for the first stitch as well. So I hope that's understood. If you didn't understand it, it really doesn't matter because we're just following the instructions and that's what they say to do. Anyway, from here, chain 1. And then we're going to do 2 trebles into the first space. 1 and 2. You can then see we've got 6 trebles here. So we're going to do a treble into the top of each stitch. So we end up with 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. After we've done that 6th stitch, we want to do 2 trebles into our space. So 1 and 2, and then 1 chain. And we're going back into our corner space. So as always, 1 treble and 2, 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, and another 2 trebles. 1 and 2. Simply repeat what you've just done all the way around, and I'll meet you back at the end. So I've gone all the way around. I've just come up to my last corner again now. So I've already chained 1, and then we're going to do 2 trebles into the corner space. 1 and 2, and then chain 1, and then join with a half treble to the top of your first treble stitch. So pull 1 up, yarn over, and pull through all 3. And this, mine is pretty wonky, I'm not going to lie. This is definitely one that needs to be blocked at the end. You can see it's not very square, and it kind of, like, if you look, it doesn't lay flat. So it will definitely need blocking. It doesn't matter if yours is all curled up at the minute, because we can solve that, and I will do a video eventually on blocking and showing you how to do it. Moving on to the next round, I've kind of got to grips with what we're doing now. So 2 chains, 1 treble into our corner space, 1, 2, and then 1 more chain, and then 2 trebles into your first space, 1 and 2. Again, for copyright, I'm not going to say the number here, but you need to go into the top of every stitch with your trebles. So I'm not going to count either, because I don't want to make it too obvious what I'm doing. I'm sure experienced crocheters could just look at the front of the magazines in the shops of the sorry, I'll start that again. I'm sure experienced crocheters could just go into a shop and look at the front of the magazine and know exactly how it's been done. But of course, because of copyright, I have to be careful. I just want to help you guys out here, and if the videos get taken down, then I won't be able to help you anymore. So I'm just trying to be, or not be, but I'm just trying to err on the side of caution, I guess. Nearly there. I also feel I need to count when I'm doing my videos, because if I'm completely silent, I feel it goes very boring. Anyway, 2 more into the next gap. I don't advertise these videos elsewhere either. I only share them within the group, so it's not like I'm trying to get up likes and subscribers. It's not like I'm telling you every video to like and subscribe to my channel and all that stuff. So these videos purely for you guys within the group. So I hope Disney or Hachette, whichever company, I guess, realises that I'm not doing this for self-promotion, but more just to help people. Sorry, off on a tangent. Chain 1. Back to your corner. 2, 3 chains, 2. 1 treble. 2 treble. 3 chains, 1, 2, 3, another 2 trebles. 1, 2, chain 1, and then do exactly the same here and all the way around. I'll meet you when you're done. I'm now back to my original corner. I've already chained 1 here, and then we're going to do 2 trebles into this corner space. 1 and 2, chain 1, and then a half treble into our first treble. And that is round 5, and your square should look like this. I'm not going to show you how to do round 6. I'm running out of space on my phone to film things, but also it is just a repeat. We know exactly what we're doing now, or I hope you know what you're doing now. But I will come back when I finish the end of this row, and then we need to do the motifs and everything, so I'll show you how to do them. See you when you finish your square. So I've just got to the end of row 6, and I've come back because it's slightly different this time round. So I've done 2 into this space here, and then I've chained 1. And then we're going to do 2 trebles into our final corner. 1 and 2. And the way we're going to go different is we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then this time we're just going to slip stitch into the top of that first stitch. So there's our final square done. I'm just going to cut off that end so I can show you properly. So, I don't know how well you can see from my camera, but look how bent it is. It's not the best. It's not flat, and this is where I said the blocking will come in handy, because it will literally just like stretch everything out like this so it lays flat. And the more I stretch it, the more it will stay for now. There we go. Look, a bit more flat now. I can't help but think, compared to the front of the magazine, that the holes in mine are huge. I don't know if I've done something wrong, or if the instructions are wrong, but I followed them to the letter. I'm slightly confused, but let's compare it to another square that I've already done and we can see size-wise if it matches up. So I've got my other squares here from last issue, and just placing that on top. Oh, look at that. That is literally perfect. They are exactly the same size. I'm well chuffed with that. Thank goodness for that. Right, so I have done it right. It just looks a bit different. Obviously, they haven't shown us yet how to do the border, but they have shown us how to do the bee motifs on these ones. So I think the first thing we need to do, and thank goodness there's less ends than last week. Hey, first thing I'm going to do is darn these in. And for anyone that didn't watch the last video, I will just show you the best way to do that. Just finding my needle. Gosh, there's two. Right, so I've got my needle, and we start from the centre and work our way outwards. I'm going to start with this one here. I don't know if this one's quite long enough. Obviously, I was trying to save as much yarn as possible. For anyone that didn't watch the last video, the easiest way to thread a darning needle is just to fold that thread over the needle and then pinch it really, really tight at the top, and then pull the needle out, and you can slowly move your thumbnail up to pinch it further, and then it will literally just squeeze through the gap. I saw that in a YouTube video recently and I thought that's well impressive. I will use that one. Yeah, this isn't really long enough, so I don't know how many of these. Apologies, my video cut off there. This isn't quite long enough, so I don't know how many of these I'm going to be able to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in through these rounded stitches here. And we're just going to pull up probably about 6 of them. Go through and then turn your work so you're facing the other side. And pull that one tight. And then we need to go back again. But don't pick up the last, don't pick up the last stitch. Otherwise it's just going to come undone again. So I'm going to go through those and turn. Just be really careful that my yarn doesn't come out. Pull tight. And again we want to go back. I don't think it's long enough. Back through the other way, but just not picking up that last stitch. This is the last one that I'm going to be able to do, sadly. So there, pulled that one through. And then what we'll do is get our scissors and snip it close to the edge. And then if we pull that one slightly, our end has now gone under here and it's disappeared. So we can't see that one at all and it's hidden it. So I need to start cutting my ends a bit longer, I think. Next one. I'll show you the green one because it's a bit longer, but you're supposed to do these in order. So needle is threaded. And then the green stitches, which you can see it's coming out of this point here, are going to go through these tall ones, this rounded shape just here. So I'm going to go under all of them to start off with, because there's a group of about 8 of them. If you can see them there, where my needle's gone through, and pull all the way to the end. And pull it tight. Remember, we're not going to go under, this one's the first stitch of that lot. We're not going to go under that one again, because everything will fall apart. So essentially, push that one down with your needle, and then just push your needle through all of the other ones, and then turn. Same thing applies. Push down on that first stitch, go through the other ones, and you're just doing that back and forth And you want to do that as many times as you want, really. The more times you do it, the more secure your ends will be. Obviously, if this is a blanket that you're intending on keeping for years and years and years, the last thing you want is for everything to come undone. So I think that's enough for me. I'm just going to cut that one off. And then that one is pulled through as well. So there's two ends gone already. And now the back of our square looks exactly the same as the front, just as neat. Once this one's gone, of course. So I'm going to work on threading that one in. And then we've got this end as well. And as always, what I will do is just go in and out of the top stitches, just thread that one through. So I'm going to do those and I'll see you when I'm done. So I've gone ahead and already sewn on my first bee, purely because I wanted to know exactly how to do it before I tried teaching you guys how to do it. Now, when putting things on, if you want your squares to look exactly the same as the ones on the front of the issue, or inside the issue as well, the best thing to do is to count the rows. So I had a look at the magazine and saw that the first bee was around the middle of the square, and his tail starts at the end of this row, and then his head starts at the, you can see we got one row here, second row here of these stitches, third row here, and fourth row here. So they say to have him about 2 centimeters long, but if you look, he just goes between these two rows, and also he's at a slight angle, he's not directly straight across. So I've gone in through one stitch here and then up through a stitch up here, so he's flying at an angle. And we need to thread some yellow wool onto our darning needle to begin this one off. So I will do that one now. So I have gone ahead and threaded the yellow wool onto my darning needle, and I cut about 35 centimeters off. Looking at the book, the second bee, or it'll be your first, his nose is right in the center of the third row. So you've got 1, 2, and 3, and then his nose goes right up from the center of here. So you can see this is the center, and here. Because he's got a head in front, I'm not going to start over the center of this stitch. I'm going to give it a gap, or skip a stitch, and go in through these few here. So the center, I don't know if you can see my darning needle there, that's the center, but this is the center row, this is the center of the row that we want to go through. And I'm just going to go one across here, and I will make him from here. Bear with me. So I'm going to do mine slightly different to how they've done it in the book with regards to placement, purely because I've got these big holes, and if I place him exactly where they have on theirs, then he's going to run into this hole here, and I don't want that. So I'm going to start off with his body around here, I believe. So it's 3 stitches from the side. Pull your yarn through, but remember to leave enough of a tail at the back, because you want to darn that one in afterwards. And we're looking for 2 centimeters, so I'd go for around 4 stitches. So 1, and then go up through that original hole that you came up through and back down the other side. And we're looking to do this so we've got 6 stitches of this length. So we've got 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Oh, and a yarn nearly fell off my needle there. And the last one, and 6. So that's the first step. From here, I'm just going to take that yarn off my needle and just leave it, because I will darn in the ends at the end. So now we need to move on to the black, which is just in as much of a mess as my yellow is, sadly, and cut around the same length piece, I would say, maybe about 40 centimeters. I'm going to thread my needle. And now we're going to do a similar process to the yellow, but at a different angle. So I'm going to start off with his head. So I'm going to turn my square. And I want to just go up, sorry, not on camera. I don't want to go up into this space because it's a big hole. And if I were to just go up through here and back down here, obviously the stitch would come out. So if you go up through this one here, remember to leave your tail at the back so it's long enough to darn in. And I'm going to go down through. I don't know how well you can see this. There's a gap in here. There is actually a stitch there. So I'm going to go in through that one. So 1, I'm going to do this 4 times. 2, and then this time I'm coming in actually in the middle of this stitch, because if I keep going back in the same place, I'm just going to end up with one thick line. And we want to create some sort of width here. So then when I go back down, it will be into, I don't know how well you can see, into this stitch here. So it's going in through the green rather than around it. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go up this time through the centre, again through the green of this one, and then back down through. Sorry, I do apologise, I've got really minimum filming time left on my phone, so the videos keep cutting out. So there is the head done. I don't know how well you can see that because of the black. And then we want to do the same thing on the other end of him for his tail, I guess. So I'm just going to go up through the bottom and repeat what I just did the same amount of times as well. So 1, 2, and then up through the centre of one of the green stitches this time, just to make it that bit wider. 3, and 4. So now it should look something like this. We now want to do the 2 lines on his body. They do them in a V in the book, and I don't understand why they've done it that way when stripes on a B are normally straight. So I'm going to go in through here and just make sure that they're equal. Doesn't matter where you put them as long as they're equal. And then straight in through the top. Like that. I'm then going to go through the top of the bee here, and you'll be able to see that each of the yellow, you should be dividing the body of the bee into 3 equal parts. So once I come down the other side, you'll see what I mean. I'm not happy with that, it's wonky. Bear with me, I'm going to take that one out. So I'm going to go in through this one. And then when I pull this one out through the back, there we go. You can see that my bee is now separated into 3 equal spaces. So we've got to do the antenna with the black. Just come over the top of his head, and it's just 2 really tiny little stitches, and they'll pretty much be invisible. So there's one. It just makes the head a bit bigger, so you can, I suppose, tell which direction he's flying in. And then I'm going to do the other one through one of the green stitches. So it looks something like that. And now you can take your black yarn off of your hook, and we need to put some white on. So this portion I found the most difficult to understand. So I will show you how to do both of these wings because it can get a bit complicated. So if you go up, would help if I showed you on camera, wouldn't it? Go up through the top of his body in the middle. And then pull so you've got your nice yarn tail on the back. But make sure you hold onto it. Put your finger over it so it won't come through. From here, we want the wings to be about 1 centimetre. But we're going to go back into that loop where we've just came from and pull it through. But don't pull all the way, because we want that loop, and that loop is what we are going to use as his wing. So when it's around the right size, or a size that you like, and I want it to be about the height of one of the stitches, I guess. Just compare it to the other ones. Could probably go a bit smaller actually. So when it's about the size that I want, I'm going to thread the needle up through the top of that wing. Don't pull it too tight, because otherwise it will tighten your loop of your wing. And then pull this one down through on top of it. So you've now stitched that wing in place. And then we're going to repeat it by going in through the bottom again. And out pretty much the same space. Pull your loop through, wait till it gets to the height that you want it and lay it in place. I think I need to go a bit smaller. So I want mine to be there. So I'm going to go up through the bottom of the wing like that. Pull it tight but not too tight so that you make the loops of the wings tighten too much and change their shape, because obviously you've got them in the shape you want them. And then just go down the other side so you've got that little loop like there, holding that one in place. And there we go, that is your bee all done. So the only issue with this bee is, you know, I was excited about having no ends to darn in earlier. The back of my square now looks like this. So you know how to do it. I'm not going to film it. Darn in your ends and then you're done. And that, there we go, is your Winnie the Pooh square. as difficult as that was, I think it's probably my favourite yet. But I love bees, that's probably why. I'll see you for the next dish, you guys. Bye.